They actually made the award, and so before I see the new Evil Dead remake at the cinemas in April, I figured I would review the original Evil Dead Trilogy. So let's talk about Evil Dead. So back in the early 80s, Sam Raimi had a visionary idea of creating a horror movie that not only would redefine the genre and show with a small budget and a creative mind can become one of the most successful and top and beloved horror movies of cinema history. This of course is Evil Dead. The storyline follows a group of friends that go into the cabin in the middle of nowhere, and of course things go horribly wrong when they find a book that once read can summon demons. The plot is very easy to understand, anybody can follow this movie, and you can get really stuck in and get really involved and really invested into the movie once you know what the established plot is and what's happening to these characters. The characters themselves are more likeable than most teen characters that you see in horror movies. This is the original kind of horror movie that shows characters can be in their mid-20s that cannot be absolutely dumb, but can be actually quite intelligent, actually fight back and actually do something. This is the type of movie which I actually enjoy teen characters for, unlike today's movies which more shows about, sex and drugs and just the typical kind of crap. This is the type of movie where it actually has mid-20s characters like Cold Prey and like other movies that know what to do with these characters and actually show them as actually intelligent people, actually intelligent characters that actually try and do the right thing within the movie and trying to escape and try and do the right thing within the situation they're given. And sometimes they make the wrong decision, but hey, that's a horror movie for you. You're gonna make the wrong decision now and again. And I really like the fact that this movie does that. The Cabin in the Woods does something very similar to this also, but shows in a different style, different way with it compared to this movie. The best character of course in this movie is Ash, but this is before he became a bit of a black comedy. He actually played it more of a straight, serious character, which actually works generally quite well, and I like the fact that he just tried to act and actually generally gives an actually interesting performance in the movie. The fact that once he knows what's going on with these whole demons going on, the whole random of the book and this kind of Book of the Dead type of thing, he actually tries to act smart and actually tries intelligence and actually tries to save his friends and actually tries to save his demon-ass girlfriend in a sense. And the actually decisions within the movie is generally quite smart and actually relatable in some situations. You would try and do that. You would try and calm people down. You would try and escape. You would try and do the best thing you can with the situation that you've been given. So it's generally a quite effective and enjoy atmospheric horror movie that does something very, very original, does something very, very creative. Excellent stuff. The cinematography is very interesting, has lots of different creepy angles and has a lot of explicit kind of close-ups of the violence. I found this to be actually generally quite good and very interesting kind of camera work in the movie. I especially like the old school practical effects and stop motion animation. One or two of the actual special effects from the movie is a bit dated and a bit more noticeable, but I found this to be an extra charm to the movie which actually adds on to this kind of 80s feel of a horror movie. So it actually works generally quite well for Evil Dead the original anyway. The original Evil Dead is the original class that does something very different with the genre, does something very different with the practical effects and the actual acting and the horror elements to it, and the camera work is very well done and actually well put together. It shows that with people with passion for horror movies and wants to do something different than the typical kind of slasher in a sense, can actually achieve something really well done, and it's become beloved and become of a cult classic within the horror genre anyway. So I actually really enjoyed this movie. I think this is a great movie to watch, really fun, really cheesy in some elements, but a generally very good movie. And I especially love the ending. The ending is absolutely brilliant, and the final camera shot is absolutely fantastic. So Evil Dead, fantastic movie.
Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn.
6 years later we have our sequel Evil Dead 2. Now most people believe this actually is a remake in some ways, being the fact that Sam Raimi couldn't get hold of the original footage and had to refilm key scenes for the opening of the movie with a slightly different narrative, but still actually looks generally quite well with the first movie in some ways. So it's actually kind of a sequel, but some people believe it to be a remake, so it's up to you how you decide it as an actual movie. The storyline continues after the events of the first movie, with Ash still fighting demons and his dead girlfriend, until a group of strangers come to the actual cabin looking for their father, who was studying the actual Book of the Dead itself. The plot this time around I found to be a lot more smarter and has a lot more background. It gives a lot more reasons, explanations, and has a lot more history to what's going on within the actual movie, and it explains a lot of reasons what happened within the first movie. I like the fact that the Book of the Dead is a lot more explained as this kind of like, summing of evil and demons and stuff, and I like the fact that the actual father element comes into that, and this group of strangers, know of his father studying the book. It's generally quite cool and interesting, and I like the fact there's new creatures and new demons within the movie. It's generally quite cool and awesome, and has a lot more wow factor this time around than the first movie. And again, you have a lot more interesting characters within the movie. Now, this is definitely my favourite out of the Evil Dead trilogy. For an 82-minute movie, this goes really fast-paced, and it actually has great scene after great scene, with Ash's classic lines and actually fighting scenes, and the fact that he's kind of battling with his own hand. And I find the black comedy in this movie generally works really, really well, and I love the fact that Ash is just a bit more of a badass character this time around. There's definitely got that kind of black comedy edge to it with his cheesy one-lines, with his groovy kind of stuff. But I love the fact what happens to his character, and I love the fact that he kind of, how he talks and how he kind of battles these demons. He's kind of been through a kind of thing in the first movie, and now he's ready to kick some ass and actually ready to fight kind of thing. I really like that within the movie. I love the energy and passion within the movie this time has. I especially enjoyed the practical effects. Of course, always I'm a big huge fan of practical effects, and this has a lot more, definitely with a bigger budget, and has a lot more kind of, a lot more going for it. With the classic scene with his girlfriend's, the corpse comes in with a chainsaw and has like a no head, and he just comes out and just batters him. Fucking hilarious, brilliant scene, and that's where the black comedy comes in, also with the fact that he's kind of like a demon-like hand and he has to cut it off in a sense. It's just little things like that I find really, really funny and generally quite impressive, and I always want to know how they managed to do it, and the extras are fantastic and they explain it all. Black comedy in this movie actually looks really, really well, and I found myself surprisingly laughing at a lot of the scenes, which I shouldn't be, to be perfectly honest. The ending, of course, again is brilliant and awesome, and has a lot more interesting stuff, and it sets up really well for a sequel, and I love what they actually entail, and I love how they kind of set up this new movie. So excellent movie overall. Evil Dead 2 is definitely my favourite out of the trilogy, and sums up definitely a thumbs up.
Army of Darkness.
Now the final chapter of the Evil Dead Trilogy follows Army of Darkness, which has the same style as the second one in a sense, but this time loses the horror element of it and focuses more on fantasy comedy in a sense. And the actual opening of the movie has a different narrative compared to the first two movies. Still works generally quite well, but actually is more for fun this time than less copyright reasons. The storyline follows Ash being sent back to time to 1300 AD, and he has to fight these demons and the new darkness that's happening in this kind of local kind of kingdom, this kind of local town area in a sense. And he has to do this to return home back to his present day. Ash's character has become more of a Duke Nukem type character, which has these kind of like cheesy lines and kind of, he can like stop evil very easily. He's become this kind of, this ego kind of person now, which is generally really, really funny and actually works with Ash's character. With his kind of, shotgun in one hand and his chainsaw in his other, he can take down any kind of evil that comes in his way. And I really like his character in the movie, and it's really developed since the first one. And it's, for someone that's got such a big ego like Duke Nukem in a sense, I find Ash to be absolutely hilarious and brilliant, and I love the fact that he can do these kind of, really outrageous kind of fight scenes, and he can do these kind of backflips and stuff, and just great. It's been really, really fun. It's over the top, it's cheesy as hell, but works really, really well at the same time. So Army of Darkness has changed its tone from the original movies and gone for more of a comedy this time around, but just works really, really well. The main enemy this time around is fighting an evil version of himself, which you'll find really weird and funny, fight scenes where he's hitting himself in a sense, and actually has some pretty interesting kind of, practical effects and pretty special effects, double-edged, he's fighting himself and not talking about lots of mini versions of him and stuff. It's generally quite weird and just stupid, but again, it just works. They balance it just right, the comedy and the kind of slapstick of it in a sense, and it works generally quite well. I like the fact that he's kind of fighting, an evil version of himself, and of course the evil version gets scarred and all burnt and stuff, and he has like an army of skeletons and darkness he has to battle and stuff, and it's generally just fun to watch from start to finish. It generally quite is. With cheesy lines, fun action scenes, and fantastic practical effects, makes this a gem of the 90s. Fans of the franchise will either hate this movie because the fact it's lost its horror element and gone for more of a comedy this time around, or just like me, has accepted the fact that it's done something completely different and gone in a different direction, which actually works really well with the character, and does something completely different, which it should within a sequel movie. It should not do the same thing twice. Now, of course, I have the both theatrical and the director's cut edition on my DVD special edition. Now, I actually like the theatrical version a lot more, surprisingly. I actually genuinely like the ending a lot more. I think it's a lot more of a kind of, Duke Nukem type ending again, with Ash returning back to present day, and he's got that kind of ego. He's kind of like, going for all this kind of crap and stuff, and he's back to his supermarket, he's back to his job, and he's just explaining this entire story he's had in 3 movies. And I like the fact this kind of new demon, this new evil, is broken out in this kind of supermarket store, and again he gets his shotgun again, and he's ready to battle this evil, he's ready to kick some ass. I'm the king, baby, kind of thing. Love it. I love the ending. I think it's cheesy as hell, but it just works with Ash's character so well, and I think it's a great ending to actually end the movie with. And it kind of leaves open with this kind of new evil in a sense that Ash has to battle in a sense. It's really well done. I really like the ending. The director's cut ending is more of a kind of slightly darker ending, with Ash actually taking too much of this actual kind of elixir in a sense, and actually wakes up into a kind of a post-apocalyptic world, end of the world type scenario, which he's overslept, and the worst of the world is just completely gone and wasted, and he's just left there screaming, kind of like a Planet of the Apes type thing. I found this to be a kind of like a downbeat ending kind of sense, being the fact that this character has been for so much within the trilogy. I like the ending more more, where he's just kind of like, you know, he's cheesy as hell, he's ready to save the day again, he's ready to fight the evil, and I love the ending a lot more than the theatrical version. So that's my thoughts and opinions of the two different versions of the actual Army of Darkness. So that's been my review for the Evil Dead Trilogy. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. What is your favourite Evil Dead movie? Comment down below, love to know your opinions. What is your thoughts on the new Evil Dead remake? Curious to know also, comment down below, love to know your opinions on that. So in the meantime, as you can do, signing out.